Well, good evening, everyone. This is Randy. It is Friday. The date is the September the 5th. The year is 2014 of our Lord, which kind of segues right into why I'm doing this recording. It's for my records as well as anyone else that happens to every once in a while follow what I'm talking about. And I tell you, it's quite logical. What I'm thinking about. I have come to the conclusion, my truth is this, is that whatever we think about, we create. Period. I think that's the bottom line, is that we are nothing more than whatever the thinker is, whatever is that absorbing what we think about. If we continue to focus on that, whatever it is, it's going to become a reality if we focus on it, period. There will be deviations from it because we won't be focusing on that original thought unless we stay right on top of it, because life goes on and we drift from that original thought. But we do create, starting at every single thought that we have. And you have to, at least I have to, look at the cyclical nature of what's all's going on. It can't be denied that based on what at least I'm seeing, there is a pattern of things that have taken place in the past that seems to replicate themselves. That's a very something that you can put your weight down on because you can validate it. You can notice in your own life that there's certain things that are cyclical. We don't have to go very far to find too many. So there's something about this pattern of things repeating themselves. There is a little bit different twist to the upright Homo sapiens sapien, though, as far as our evolving as a group of people that maybe don't realize that what we're all doing is creating our own individual reality starting right now. And every single thought is a restart, like Groundhog Day, except you build on the things that you've been thinking about. Or you just start thinking about how in the world are you going to get out of a bad situation, unless at least you first start thinking that you can do it, for crying out loud. You've got to have, that's what's called an exciter. We'll call it an exciter thought. Keep your mind out of the gutter. But you think about that for a minute. I use get up out of the chair. If I'm going to get up out of this chair, I've got at least to have a first thought, as small as it may be, of whatever it is I think about. Right now it's autopilot, but I get up out of the chair. Something had to start that process to get my leg to move forward. All that had to go into play, but it started with throwing the switch to that original thought, or revisiting one, or pulling it up because it's so involuntary, so auto. You've got it on autopilot. But it starts with a thought. Pray without ceasing. And all you have, at least for me, I'm living this deal here, and I'm doing it off sheer faith. But I'm taking action. Faith without action is a moot point. You can sit here and talk about all this stuff, but you have to continue. If you want to call the least amount of work that you have to do is this, is you at least have to start thinking about the same thing more than just a little bit. That's your job. Just go think about getting up out of that gutter, or breaking this boredom, or this what is it called now, this depression state that you're in. Just simply think you're not depressed. If someone come along with a 2x4 and hits you right square between the eyes hard enough to knock you slap silly to the point that you didn't remember certain things bothered you, you started liking strawberry ice cream and everybody was shocked because you never would touch it with a 10-foot pole. Something happened with that board, made contact with your cranial, your front, the cortex there of your brain, frontal cortex. You started liking strawberry. You started thinking about strawberry. Didn't know any different. If you had have known different, you could change it from vanilla to strawberry. I'm getting way off out there, but point being is that people are now, we used to talk about some crazy things, still do. Here's Graham Hancock, my God, Hiawaska King, but he is a very, very learned and sensitive individual of what's going on here. Let me get y'all some volume. He talks some pretty wild stuff here. Just a minute, pulling up this mixer. Here we go.
Who is simply the Greek form of the ancient Egyptian wisdom god Thoth, and his pupils, where he's giving them teachings. And what I'm going to read now is
Oh God, let's listen to this.
Asclepius, where Hermes is in dialogue with his pupil Asclepius.
Pupil.
He's giving him a teaching of great importance, and it concerns the future. And although Hermes speaks specifically of Egypt, I would suggest that Egypt is used here as a metaphor for the world, and indeed for our world, because this text speaks to the future, and I think it speaks to our time, and it contains a warning, but also a message of hope. Do you know, Asclepius, that Egypt is an image of heaven? Or to speak more exactly, in Egypt, all the operations of the powers which rule and work in heaven are present in the earth below. In fact, it should be said that the whole cosmos dwells in this our land, as in a sanctuary. And yet, since it is fitting that wise men should have knowledge of all events before they come to pass, you must not be left in ignorance of what I will now tell you. There will come a time when it will have been in vain that Egyptians have honored the Godhead with heartfelt piety and service, and all our holy worship will be fruitless and ineffectual. The gods will return from earth to heaven. Egypt will be forsaken, and the land which was once the home of religion will be left desolate, bereft of the presence of its deities. O Egypt, Egypt, of thy religion nothing will remain but an empty tale, which thine own children in time to come will not believe. Nothing will be left but graven words, and only the stones will tell of thy piety. And in that day men will be weary of life, and they will cease to think the universe worthy of reverent wonder and worship. They will no longer love this world around us, this incomparable work of God, this glorious structure which he has built, this sum of good made up of many diverse forms, this instrument whereby the will of God operates in that which he has made, ungrudgingly favoring man's welfare. This combination and accumulation of all the manifold things that call forth the veneration, praise, and love of the beholder. Darkness will be preferred to light, and death will be thought more profitable than life. No one will raise his eyes to heaven. The pious will be deemed insane, the impious wise. The madman will be thought a brave man, and the wicked will be esteemed as good. As for the soul, and the belief that it is immortal by nature, or may hope to attain to immortality, as I have taught you, all this they will mock, and even persuade themselves that it is false. No word of reverence or piety, no utterance worthy of heaven will be heard or believed. And so the gods will depart from mankind, a grievous thing, and only evil angels will remain, who will mingle with men and drive the poor wretches into all manner of reckless crime, into wars and robberies and frauds and all things hostile to the nature of the soul. Then will the earth tremble, and the sea bear no ships. Heaven will not support the stars in their orbits. All voices of the gods will be forced into silence. The fruits of the earth will rot. The soil will turn barren, and the very air will sicken with sullen stagnation. All things will be disordered and awry. All good will disappear. But when all this has befallen Asclepius, then God, the creator of all things, will look on that which has come to pass, and will stop the disorder by the counterforce of his will, which is the good. He will call back to the right path those who have gone astray. He will cleanse the world of evil, washing it away with floods, burning it out with the fiercest fire, and expelling it with war and pestilence. And thus he will bring back his world to its former aspect, so that the cosmos will once more be deemed worthy of worship and wondering reverence. And God, the maker and maintainer of the mighty fabric, will be adored by the men of that day with continuous songs of praise and blessing. Such is the new birth of the cosmos. It is a making again of all things good, a holy and awe-inspiring restoration of all nature. And it is wrought inside the process of time by the eternal will of the Creator.
So you can see there's Graham, quite heavy. You have William Henry over here. Now William Henry is along the same lines. Everyone, the tie that I'm going to make here is Gregg Braden. Goodness gracious, what a wonderful thought process he has, Gregg Braden. I urge you to this is his new work here, The Turning Point. Urge you to take a look at this. Follow him on YouTube. He's got some really good material. Let's see what just a little quick trailer.
Hello, my name's Gregg Braden. Hello, my name's Gregg Braden. You're watching this film today. What I know is that you know that this is no ordinary time in the history of our world, certainly, in the history of the nation that you live in, or any nation, or any of our lives. And it's a fact, the best minds of our time are telling us that you and I are living what they're calling a time of extremes. The extremes don't have to be bad things or even good things for that matter, but they are big things. And it is a fact. We have no reference, no blueprint to tell us what steps to take to embrace these changes in our lives. That's where my book, The Turning Point, Creating Resilience in a Time of Extremes, comes in. This book was a very healing book for me to write because it allowed me the opportunity to bring together the best science, leading edge science of our time, some of it so new it's not even in mainstream publications, and marry that science with what you're living in your world and what I'm living in my world every single day to point us in the direction of choices that we can make in our lives. So many of us have been conditioned to think of resilience as a way to return to a way of thinking or living, to bounce back or spring back from a difficult situation. This is the traditional thinking when it comes to resilience. My question is there another kind of resilience that allows us to thrive in the presence of the changes? And the answer is yes. It's the resilience that allows us in our personal and our community lives to thrive in the midst of the changes, to embrace the possibilities that face all of us each day. And when I think of so many of the great minds that have embraced what our time is really all about, Buckminster Fuller said, you're never going to create change by fighting the things that you don't want. He says, to create the kind of change that we're talking about, find a new way of doing things that makes sense within the current situation. And that is precisely the kind of resilience that we're talking about. Turning point occurs when we're given the reason to think about ourselves and our relationship in the world differently, when a new idea or a discovery or a revelation gives us the reasons to think differently about our lives and our world. The turning point, creating resilience in time of extremes, is the blueprint that gives you the strategies to actually incorporate the best science and the wisdom.
So that's a lot about Gregg's book there that he has. He's just writing at a turning point. It should be very good. That's just another example that I'm using. that people are starting to turn to this. And I did this video because of what's going on Truth Frequency Radio, the things that they were talking about just a moment ago. I want to and to see if well, Popeye was on a while ago and Joe is on now, I do believe, but they were talking about how people, they're starting to wake up to the esoteric type thinking that people, that we have been talking about, I've been talking about these people here for quite some time. We've been going over these things, and of course tonight, the subconscious. They are seeing, as I've felt, that the only way we can win this is the spiritual battle. And not prayer like we had been pounded into our heads, but I'm talking about thought. I believe that all of these I believe that all of these belief systems, every one of them, every one of these people, all of these things that are becoming, people are starting to look at them, is only because people are starting to look at them. A subatomic particle cannot be observed unless it's in the act of being observed. It only appears if you're seeking to observe it, and it will show. Build it, and they'll come. And that building part in that example is getting your mind in that creative channel, seeking that one thing. In that case of just thought or a subatomic particle, it is the subatomic particle, and it arrives. Continue to think about that, and more come and ball up. Next thing you know, you're out of the chair and you're out the door. But let's look at all of this stuff. Every single thing that's going on out there today had to have started no matter how long ago. Even that deal that that Graham Hancock was reading to us, that was back in Palladio days or something. Somebody was sitting around thinking, kept thinking about it, and opened their mouth or communicated it in some way to another one who started thinking about it. Now you've got a couple people thinking not the exact same thing, but something very similar. Someone else comes along, they harmonize with it, they're thinking about that original thought, in this case that Plato or whoever it was had. And the next thing you know, 600 or 700 years later, or 1,000 or whatever it is there, we're thinking about it now, perpetuating on into perpetuity, as long as we're thinking about it. Plato, or whoever that was, George Norley, Obama, Khrushchev, Mr. Magoo, or Mr. Ed, the talking horse. Doesn't make any difference. We're all equal. If you can think about something, you got a shot. Plato didn't know that 500 or 600 years later we'd be talking about this today. He coupled some things with it: passion, faith, enthusiasm, driving out doubt, and he trudged on with that thought process. It carries on today. We all have that ability, every single one of us. And guess what? It doesn't make any difference what you think about. If someone else harmonizes with you, you're off to changing the world. Who's to, well, mainstream religion. Now that we have, in the belief system we grew up in, Protestant, Christians, Baptists, atheists, whatever you are, it doesn't make any difference. Muslim, it doesn't make no difference. Buddhist, it doesn't make any difference. Run that thought process down a little ways. Every one of those man-made, and don't bow up on me, it's wholly inspired. Yeah, it was. By the original thought, the one that had that original exciter thought that started that thread going. The source, it was delivered direct. It had to, because it was the original thought. And then passing that out, the dissemination, the compromising, and the total fragmenting and manipulating and molding into one's own interest the original belief system of Christianity, of any of them. They're all so fragmented from the original essence. In my opinion, none of them have any merit. None of them. Go in the middle of the Amazon, those people who are fortunate enough not to have ever seen anyone else other than their group, their clan, their village, their society, they don't have these problems. I'll guarantee you $1 to a donut. They're closer to the source, the single source, than most would aspire to be. If we want to win this battle, we do not allow our minds to get caught up in, let me find one. Why not just go to our old mainstay one here? I hadn't been over here in quite some time. If it even will come up. Latest news. Pack Alert Press. See if it'll even load pictures over here. I haven't been over here in so long. I do not know. Do not want to wait on it. I do know that. We're going to go right on to something else because just making a point. I'll just go open up another Truth Frequency Radio and you'll see what they have on their homepage, and then we'll go to listen to their what you're talking about right now that Joe's talking about. All of this garbage. Guarantee you that about 99% of it does not make a hill of beans, or does not warrant being on here in front of the whole world. These problems, if left confined, not confined, but left to run their course in their own demographic, their own environment, would take care of themselves. All the people of the whole world don't have to run over to somebody's house and see who's hollering. And then decide who's wrong or right. It'll work itself out. This is all a diversion from this very conversation right here, in my opinion. We create this thing. Every single thing that we're getting, we thought we created it. You want cheaper prices? Well, they charge more to have them made here in America because the American folks, the standard of living, is high. And we bought into this this cost of living increase. That's the biggest shaft in the world. I won't go down that, but there's no a hammer doesn't go up in price every year because it's laid on your table, for crying out loud. What's the deal with that? It's because we borrow money that's not even, it's fictitious. It has interest. We're just simply paying off the interest. And paying the interest off means we got to borrow more money, making that hammer go up. Good God, people, wake up! They got us by the short hair, and we got to stop that. Goodness gracious me. And to keep us from thinking about it, we got to stop that, they come up with this and we're buying into it like fish. All we got to do is think good stuff. And if we all get together and decide on what good stuff we want to think about and kind of get a ball of us, a good group of us thinking about the same thing that's good, before you know it, we done set precedents. And we're the young upstarts who's got the whole batch of people starting to think the way we're thinking. That's what they're after. That's the power. Getting the people to turn their thinkers, their creators, their manifesting machine in the direction that they want. That's what they're after. wake up. Let's just point at what we want. We want you out, and we just want to have a happy existence here on this planet. I put something up on Facebook, but I'll see if I can find it now. It is it was the let me get over here real quick. Let me hold this a moment. Okay, I'm back. I just wanted to get this over here and key it up. I think this is the best foreign policy for the Middle East. What do you think? People are people, people. They don't want all this killing business going on. My goodness gracious. It's not us. It's not the people. Everybody wants to be happy, and we know that. Even the biggest bully, the sickest punk you could run with, as long as they're just punks. You know, we have punks. There can be punks everywhere. But there's not this evilness that's taking place out there. They. Who are they? We know who they are. They've evolved because we have allowed them to evolve. They're alive up there, alive as far as functioning, because we have asked them to do that. I want this cheaper. I want it faster. Oh, I'll borrow that. I'm going to go plastic. I want more. I tell you what, you can be happy as a pig in water. Whether you're in a $50,000 house, $5,000 house, $250,000 house, or $250 million house. Let me tell Kevin. Hold on just a second. Kevin, I'm doing a recording right now. I'll get back with you. I'm doing a recording. I'll get back with you. I'm doing a recording. I'll get back with you. That's Kevin. Great man. People don't want all this stuff right here. They're putting it up there because it hits emotional points. You know, all of it. Just simply choose otherwise. Believe it or not, I think it's that simple. I think we have the power. I don't think I know we do. If instantly 30% of the world all decided it's over with this stuff here, that would be enough people to start this thing to where it could not be reversed, and it would become the new reality. Whatever they're thinking about, whatever it is, whoever's thinking the most about whatever they're thinking about is what's going to be the going thing. Christianity, Buddhists, whatever William Henry's got happening here, whatever does this, there is no denying that. No matter if you think that's hedonistic, it's a fact. And I would much rather, and I do believe that the Creator would much rather my mindset be experiencing the human experience in a way that we do not have to do this. This does not have good energy. I'm going long here. I'm 30 minutes. I'm going to wrap this up. God bless you. God bless this wonderful country of America, and God bless this blue planet. As everyone knows, I'm off into solar. We'll talk about that on another call. Make this thing here go viral. Tell some friends. I think everybody needs to hear this. This is Randy, Jedi 1. We down.